we started this interview series because we wanted to help people like you and connect you to people that can help you network with your passion as well as your business, entrepreneurship, whatever it may be, to really up and elevate your game. Welcome, Dr. Misner.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me on, and it's great to be the first guest on your show.
You have achieved tremendous success in business and in networking, and you have an incredible following of people from a professional level as well as a personal level. What do you attribute to this, and what is it that you're most passionate about?
You know, there'd be a couple of things. I think that the success is the uncommon application of common knowledge. Let me explain that.
Yeah.
I wrote about this in a book I wrote called Masters of Success, and I stumbled into it because I was interviewing people as to what it takes to be successful. And so I would talk to the average business person, people who were like in BNI. They were average business person. And I asked them, what's it take to be successful? And I'd hear things like passion, goals, vision, systems, people skills, leverage, dealing with adversity, all of those kinds of things. I thought, okay, those are probably pretty accurate. I liked it. And then I started asking really successful people who were at the top of their game, Buzz Aldrin, the astronaut, people like Aaron Brockovich, and others that were in the book. And they told me, when I asked, what's the secret to success? They said, well, things like passion, goals, vision, system, leverage, people skills. I mean, they gave me the exact same list. And I thought, wow, that's interesting. That's interesting that they would give me the same list as the average business person. Now, at the time, I was teaching at a state university in California. And so I started asking these college kids, undergraduate students, what do you guys think it takes to be successful? And you know what they told me? Passion, goals, vision, system, leverage. I mean, they gave me the exact same list except for one thing. They did say luck. They thought luck had something to do with it. And here's my view on sustained success. The harder you work, the luckier you get. Here's the question that we posed as a result of the work on this book. If we all know what it takes to be successful, then why is it that we're not all as successful as we would like to be? And I think the answer to that is that success is the uncommon application of common knowledge. I did not invent networking. Networking has been around a long time. But I put a system, and I had a vision, and I put a system and a process together, and I did it with unbelievable persistence and commitment that, I achieved success. And I like to tell people I'm a 20-year overnight success. It took me 20 years of hard work to build a business. I see a lot of companies do one thing really, really wrong. And especially startup companies and new businesses, it's very important. You want to be successful, do 6 things 1,000 times, not 1,000 things 6 times.
Mm-hmm.
And listen, it doesn't have to be 6. It could be 5. It could be 7. I mean, the idea is you do a handful of things over and over and over again. And sometimes it might be mind-numbing to do it over and over and over again. But I believe, in my experience, that's what it takes to be truly successful. So how do you figure out what 6 things to do? You go to mentors, you read books, you talk to people who've been successful. Mm-hmm. You get processes and systems and ideas from people who've been there, and then be a dog with a bone, and you do those handful of things over and over and over again.
Yeah, and eventually you get good at it, right? If you keep
doing
absolutely.
Things, you do get good at it.
One of the secrets.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. The secret to success without hard work is still a secret.
Yeah.
100%, and I think it always will be.
I think that an entrepreneur is either working in their flame or working in their wax. When they're in their flame, they're on fire. They're excited. They love what they do. You can hear it in their voice. You can see it in the way they react. But when they're working in their wax, it takes all their energy away. It sucks them dry, and you can see that in the way they work as well. And so I try as much as possible throughout my career to focus on the things that are my flame. And by the way, that changes over time. You know, the things that were my flame 20 years ago, for example, building BNI. BNI is now, we have 7,600 groups in almost 70 countries around the world. And opening up locations and dealing with the franchising issues and all the legal stuff. I loved that for about 20 years. And then, that got kind of old over time. And so other things have become my flame. Today, I want to write books, not checks. And I want to do interviews, not depositions. And so my flame has changed. And so what I've tried to do over time is to shift my role within the company to do the things that I'm really passionate about. And writing and doing interviews are really what I'm passionate about. In your introduction, you mentioned I was founder and chairman. I've actually stepped down as chairman of the company, and I'm now founder and chief visionary officer, which is kind of a woo-woo title, but it has me focusing on the culture of the organization and being the spokesperson for the organization. So that's what I'm passionate about.
Most people believe that you're passionate about the same thing throughout your whole entire life, which is not necessarily, it's more of a stepping stone. You're passionate about one thing to get you to the next passion, and it evolves over time. So that was one of our next questions. And I noticed,
does. But listen, there are some things that you can remain passionate about throughout your lifetime. They tend to be hobbies. And I'm still passionate about BNI, crazy passionate, but in different aspects of the business, not necessarily doing the same thing exactly. So yeah, it does evolve. I think sometimes, entrepreneurs in particular, they like to do new things, and so it's important to evolve and to reinvent yourself in your role with the business that you have so that it can stay fresh and exciting to you. I've just transitioned to the chief visionary officer about a year and a half ago, and I'm as excited about this business as I was 20 or 30 years ago now.
One of the things is we all depend on one-to-one relationships, and obviously in BNI, everyone has one-to-ones, of which we joked about on Twitter that we had a tweet one-to-one. And so, that's really been an icon and, a cornerstone for BNI. What is the secret to BNI? Because, we run into a lot of people that have utilized different networking channels and vehicles, and BNI has been really the benchmark, the cornerstone, the mainstay in networking, whereas a lot of others have fizzled out. What is the secret sauce that really sets BNI apart?
So the one secret to success in BNI is there is no one secret. It is, and you kind of said it there. You said, what's the secret sauce? And it is a recipe. I think it's a number of things. And it would certainly the structure, the system, the process that we have is really important. Sometimes I see networking groups that go out and they say, we're BNI without the rules. I love those groups. I love them because they almost always fail. BNI without rules, it would be sort of like hockey without rules. Would be boxing basically. You know what I mean? You've got to have some rules and systems in place and accountability. So that's part of it. But here's, I think, the big part. Culture eats strategy for breakfast. Culture eats strategy for breakfast. So you could be part of an organization with the best processes and systems in the world, but if you don't have a fantastic culture, you are not going to be an industry leader. On the other hand, if you have an amazing culture and a marginal strategy, you can actually succeed in business. But if you're part of a company that has an amazing culture and an amazing strategy, you will be the industry leader in that business. And I think that's one of the key elements of our success. And that depends on your core values as an organization. And our principal core value is the thing that helps create our culture, and that is giver's gain. This philosophy of giver's gain. This idea that if I help you, you'll help me, we'll all do better as a result of it. And so I think these are all part of the puzzle that it takes to build a successful company, that culture and that system together integrated effectively. Look, 7,600 groups. We're going in. We're almost 32 years old. I didn't have as much gray hair 32 years ago, but 32 years, we're doing something right.
What you put out there is what you're going to get back.
Yep.
And so we can be out every night, every day, every weekend, networking all of the time, essentially. How do you know when it's too much? Like, how do you know when you've hit your limit?
Well, there's a few things. That question is an important one on many levels. Let's start from a networking perspective, and then let's just talk about personal life. Networking is it's a marathon, not a sprint. And so I see people all the time trying to do it, make networking a numbers game. How many people can I meet? How many cards can I collect?
Yep.
How many phone calls can I make to follow up?
And that's what normally people do, right?
Yeah.
That's what they do.
Yeah, and then they burn themselves out.
And I think the parallel too, and that was one of the big things which we've been talking about lately, like within the company, is the networking burnout. Is that they think, okay, I've got to go to one every night, and what we've seen though is to build a foundation. That's really important, right? You need to be seen, but you also need to have the strategy behind it, and then understand what the value you're getting from networking, because if you do this scorched earth like cold calling, networking isn't really a numbers game. It's the time that you put in to build those relationships.
Networking is not a numbers game, it's a people puzzle.
Ooh, I like that. I like that people puzzle.
It's about learning how to connect with people. If your network is a mile wide but an inch deep, it'll never be successsulu You want to build a powerful personal network, it needs to be both wide in places and deep in places. That means you really need to build relationships with people. Networking is more about farming than it is about hunting. It's about cultivating relationships with people. And I'm telling you, I've said this, I've drilled this into people's heads for years, and sometimes people still don't get it.
Yeah.
It really is about going deep. I mean, I'll give you an example. I went to a BNI chapter, and I was talking to them and saying, this is really important, right? And everyone's like, yeah, we get it. It's important, really important. And we understand, and we know each other well, and we've got really good relationships. And I said, okay, you really have strong relationships. And they're like, yes, we do. I said, great. Now, look to your left and look to your right. See who's sitting next to you. You don't have to admit anything here, but I want you to ask yourself, are they married or do they have a significant other? If so, how many children do they have? Where did they go to school? What was their degree in? What are their goals in life? What do they want to accomplish business-wise and personally? And I gave them like a list of 7 or 8 questions. I said, is there anyone in this room that knows the answer to those questions to both of the people on their left and their right? And if you raise your hand, I'm going to ask you to give the answers.
Yeah, sure.
No one had the answers.
Yeah.
And so when I say you really need to get to know people, I mean it. You really need to get to know people on a personal level, on a professional level, so that you have that kind of relationship, and so that you can pass business to one another. And that's to me what networking is all about. Now, you can't do that with every person that you network with. And that's where I see people burning out, and they're just passing cards. I call it spray and pray. You throw your cards out there and you pray for business.
Yeah, we call them card slingers. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
Yep.
I'm going to borrow that, card slingers. That's
By
good.
all means. By all means.
So we hear this all the time. Networking, it's ingenuine. You know what? And I'm not going to do it. And we know it's important. It has to happen to actually really build those successful relationships.
Yeah.
What advice do you have for the person that is like, I don't want to dig deep. I don't know how, and I'm not going to do it. I mean, other than punt, you're in trouble. But
fail. I don't care. That's your problem.
But I mean, how
At
do you
some
get them
point,
excited about doing that?
Well, here's the thing. It's not my job to talk you into being successful. When somebody says something like that to me, it's like, it's not my job to talk you into being successful. If you want to fail, fail.
Right.
If you have a better way, tell me what it is. Because I'm guessing that you're struggling right now because you're not doing really well in business and you're looking for something and you're just saying, I'm not going to do this.
Right.
Okay.
Or I don't
What
feel
do you got?
comfortable
What do you,
doing it.
if, so what do you got that's working? You know, how's that work? Basically, I
How's
would
that
do
working
a Dr.
for you?
Phil.
Yeah.
So how's that working for you?
Yeah, yeah.
And-
And one of the things we try to do, Ivan, is we try to get people excited about it, and we try to help them to make it an easier process for them. So
Fair
training,
enough.
if you will. And so that's
Fair
that
enough.
part
But when
of
I
it
have people
is-
that are kind of confrontational with me
Yeah.
about it, I'm like, then don't do it. That's okay with me.
right. Not
I-
everybody's going to do it.
I read an article once that took that approach, okay, and it said networking is horrible and it's very it's mercenary and it's just about selling. And he said instead of networking, this is what you should do. You should get to know people. You should be building relationships with people. When you go to networking meetings, you should be having deeper conversations with people. I remember reading this thinking, are you kidding me?
That's networking.
That is networking.
Yeah.
What you're doing, what you're talking about as networking is face-to-face cold calling.
Right.
That's not networking. I went to a networking event years ago, and there were 900 people in the audience, and I said, how many of you are here today? Raise your hands. I asked them, hoping to, maybe just possibly sell something. 900 people raised their hands. I said, great, perfect.
Ouch.
Second question. How many of you are here today hoping to, maybe just possibly buy something? No one raised their hands. Not one single person. This is what I call the networking disconnect. People show up at networking events wanting to sell, but nobody's there to buy. And so when people come away from networking events like that, they feel like they need a shower because they've just been, everybody's trying to sell to them.
Sure.
That's not networking. That is face-to-face cold calling. And so networking is about building relationships. And building relationships is not nearly as painful as cold calling. And it's a lot less expensive than advertising. And I believe in advertising, but it's a lot less expensive than advertising. So look, networking is really about building friendships and relationships. And I think I can't think of a better way to do business. As long as you're not doing it in a way that is very superficial.
Right.
And what happens is people do this superficial thing and they say, I don't like it. Well, I wouldn't like it either.
I was having a conversation back and forth with this guy on Twitter, and he was saying that, this gentleman was like, he said, and I'm sure you've heard this many times as our audience has, is networking is not working. And he said it, and he wrote this huge article, and it was a very... It was a very negative article, and the reason being was this.
Networking is not working was the article I was referring to, by the way.
Oh, you're kidding.
So,
Wow.
No.
and I read that, and I'm like, he's like, you should be focusing on your company, and it was, and I'm sitting there, and I'm thinking to myself, how is networking not focusing on your company? And he goes, why I got burned out on networking was, and we had a conversation, he goes, because I got so distracted by the invitation and the exclusivity and the fact that people wanted me to come to an event, and I said to him, I was like, well, that's not networking. You're going to a party. I said, when I go to an event, I'm going to make friends. I'm going to meet, and one of the things that you said was, not everyone's your customer. Big thing that we say a lot. Not everyone's your customer. You're not going to be able to help everyone, and the inch deep, mile wide is a perfect analogy with it, because Seth Godin talks is another big influencer for us, and he talks about tribes. And the people that you network best with are tribes. And so a question that we have for you is, how do you find that tribe? And I think BNI is a lot about finding your tribe, but can you give us some strategies on identifying who your tribe is and when you have that moment that goes, these are the people that I should be around?
So there's a book that I've done that's for BNI only that we're working on to open to the public. And I think that, let me talk about tribe, big picture tribe, but first start with you as an individual and then broaden it to the tribe.
Perfect.
This book that I'm talking about is a book called Who's in Your Room? And we haven't released a public edition of it yet, but we will be, I hope, next year. And here's the concept. Imagine that you live your entire life in one room. And that one room has only one door. And that one door is an enter-only door. so that when people come into your room or into your life, they're there forever. You can't get them out. You cannot remove them. Now, luckily, this is a metaphor. But if it were true, would you be more selective? This is a question to both of you. If this were true, would you be more selective about the people that you let into your life?
100%.
Absolutely.
100%.
Yeah, so I've been asking this question of thousands of people over the last couple of years, and no one has said, oh yeah, I'd let them all in, it doesn't matter to me. Everybody has said, oh yeah, I'd be a lot more selective. So why aren't we? Why aren't we? Now in the book we talk about how to be more selective and a concept called the doorman, who basically is your subconscious and conscious mind screening out people who come in. And now let me answer your question. What you need is to, before you're looking for a tribe, look at the individuals in that tribe. Are these people that you want in your room? Are these people that you want a relationship with? And if the answer to that is no, and the answer should be based on your values, the things that are important to you, and whether these people are coming into your room with or without those values. Now, the values don't have to be the same as yours. It's actually okay to have diversity in values. They just can't be completely incongruent with yours. So, I'll give you an example. One of my values, I hate drama. I hate drama. People that constantly have drama, especially negative drama. I'm out. But yet I kept letting those people into my room because they were really qualified, and I'm like, yeah, they got a lot of drama, but I'll work with them. Why? My life was chaos because I kept letting people into my room. They were full of drama, but they were very skilled. I changed my strategy to not letting people with drama in my room. I'd rather find somebody else. I'd rather look longer to find somebody else with those skills than to let somebody like that into my room. So the answer to your question is, you look to allow people into your life and into your room that have values that are not incongruent with yours. And that's the way you find your tribe, is to look for a tribe of people who also have similar values. They want, and in BNI, it's, givers gains the core. They want to help you, you want to help them. You want to find a group that's very positive. These are the kinds of groups I'd be looking for. People that are very positive, people that believe in lifelong learning, people that understand that it's all about relationships. These are all important values to me. And if those are important values to you, then those are the people that you want to bring in. By the way, let me leave you with one last thought. I said that this is a metaphor, that people, you can get them out of your room. Truth is, you can't.
They'd have to die.
You really can't. You might physically get them out of your room. They may be out of your room, but they're never out of your head.
Yep.
They will always be in your head. If you have a really bad experience with someone, a year later, you will make a decision based in part on that relationship you had a year before. They'll still be in your head, and you'll be thinking, I've gone down this road before, and I'm either going to do this or not going to do this based on my past experience. So even when you get them out of your room, they're still in your head. And so being more selective about who you bring into your life is the way to pick a tribe.
One of the things that we always teach is have your own personal mission statement.
Yeah.
And so, and it correlates so beautifully to the room analogy because, how do you figure out who to let in that room? And so, I can tell you my mission statement, which is, it's engraved in the inside of my wallet. And it comes from Boy Scouts, and it says, it's go to a place and leave it better than when you found it. And if I can do that, I'm in. And so, one of the questions is, taking a deeper dive with you, is what's your mission statement? Like, what is, obviously there's an evolution, but what is that mission statement?
Well, you're talking about me personally, not BNI.
Yes, yeah, you personally.
I think it would be this. I've always felt that I may not be able to, me personally, may not be able to make a world of difference, but I can make a difference in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And so my mission is to help make a difference in the world.
Do you have any final thoughts? I mean, I don't want to, digress this into tips, although I would love to pick your brain on that.
Probably another time.
We could totally do that another time if you're up for it.
Sure, absolutely.
But what's some of your final thoughts? You've really, I mean, I wish words could explain how much you've influenced me personally. Unfortunately, they can't. But what are some final thoughts that you have about networking, about passion that we didn't cover in this?
Well, okay, networking and passion. Let's start with networking. I think the foundation of everything that I teach relating to networking applies to a concept I call the VCP process. Visibility, credibility, profitability. VCP. You first have to be visible in the community. People have to know who you are and what you do. And only then can you move to credibility, where people know who you are, they know what you do, and they know you're good at it. And only then can you move to profitability, where people know who you are, they know what you do, they know you're good at it, and they're willing to pass you referrals on an ongoing reciprocal basis. Now, this isn't a sales process, this is a referral process. Mm-hmm. So moving from credibility to profitability is about getting referrals, not making sales. What happens is that people go to networking events and they do, like I said earlier, they use it as a face-to-face cold calling opportunity instead of understanding the VCP process and understanding that networking is about moving through those phases. That's why it takes time. Mm-hmm. Moving from visibility to credibility takes time, and moving from credibility to profitability can take a lot of time. And so I think that's the most important thing for people to understand in terms of networking. Now, passion, here's my theory on passion. Passion does not produce results. Passion and commitment produce results. Passion alone does not produce results. It really doesn't. I love wine, but I'm not a sommelier. Yeah. And the commitment that it would take to become a sommelier, I'm out. Right. I'm out. I'd love to win the Boston Marathon, but I don't really like running that much. Not that much. Right. I always thought it would be really cool to be a brigadier general, but I don't want to go to boot camp. So, you could be really passionate about things. I mean, I'm being a little facetious, but what I see people who are really passionate, but they're not committed. Mm-hmm. And it's both the passion and commitment, I think, that produce results, not passion alone. And I'm all about passion. I believe in passion, but the truth is, without the commitment to back up the passion, you're not going to get the results you want.
So just to finish this off, where are some places where they can find more out about you? Because obviously I know that you do speeches. I know that obviously there's BNI. Can you give them a little bit of information?
Absolutely. BNI.com, if anyone's interested in visiting a BNI chapter, we have 7,600 of them all over the world, BNI.com. I've got a lot of content up on my blog. I've been writing my blog since 2007, so quite a few years. IvanMisner.com. Everything up there is free. It's just all content to learn how to network effectively. And I've got a Facebook page. Just go to Facebook and look for Ivan Misner. My public page is ivanmisner.bnifounder. So just look for the public page and follow me there. Love. By the way, anyone who posts a message, particularly on my blog, I read every message that gets posted up there.
Great. And the other thing, too, is this is how Ivan and I met is through Twitter. So he posts a ton of stuff on Twitter, and that's at Ivan Misner, correct?
Yeah, at Ivan Misner. And I don't read every single message on the Twitter, but I do on my blog, and I do obviously read as many as I can on Twitter.
Well, perfect. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you, Ivan.
Hey, it was my pleasure meeting both of you, and I'd be happy to come back again anytime.